like to convene the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board special meeting here at 6 o'clock on November 13th. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Musich.
Present.
Commissioner Menz.
Here.
Commissioner Alper.
Here.
Vice President Abeni.
Here.
President Forney.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I would move that we approve the agenda.
Second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That action carries. Okay, we have some very, very special business here to do. If somebody would like to move our action that is before us, we'd appreciate it.
We have a discussion item first, I believe, President Forney.
Sorry. Yes, we have a discussion item here, and we are going to get kind of the lay of the land, thanks to Secretary Ringel. I think you're in that hat tonight, and appreciate that you being here.
Thank you, President Forney. Commissioners, this is a special meeting for a special night. This does not happen very often. And what we are working to do tonight is enact a process you put forward on November 1st. I'll run through the materials. I think if there's any questions, concern, debate about the actual process, it would probably be wise to do that before you actually start the next pieces. But let's just review where we're at and make sure we're all on the same page. First, wanted to just talk about the position that's vacant. There's an at-large commissioner position vacant. The individual who's selected for this term would serve from November 15th, 2023 to January 2nd, 2026. They would represent all of Minneapolis. This is an at-large position, so it isn't for a specific geographic area. It's for the city as a whole. The compensation for this role is $17,418 a year. That has some annual increases that occur with it, but that is the current compensation. And the position has benefits associated with it: medical, dental, basic life insurance, and there's an option for para as well, which is essentially kind of a retirement plan for public appointments. You laid out an application process at your November 1st meeting. It required publication through our website, through GovDelivery. We also did include a notice in the Star Tribune, so that was there. It was on our website. We had it in all possible places, so that was achieved by that November 3rd. And then the application process closed on November 9th at 12 or at noon. And there were 7 questions you wanted asked. We put those into a form. It was available either online, or you could also get it from our customer service desk. We received, and I will make a correction because I have said 55 before, but it was actually 54 applications, and we also had 1 person drop out today, so you're now at 53 total candidates for this role. All of the applications were posted and are available online for tonight's meeting, so if folks want to follow at home, I know our goal was to have them posted by last Thursday, so all of you would have a chance to review them, and we were able to meet those goals. So the selection process, this is the language in your actual resolution, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time with the language, but I will talk in just a minute about kind of the specifics of how we're going to flow through this. But this is available in multiple forms, and I can always pull this slide up if we get into a spot where we have to go back and look at the exact language. But basically what we have in front of us tonight is 2 ballots. The first ballot, you will have the opportunity to vote for 2 people on it. I will read those names that each of you vote for into the roll. So for example, Commissioner A has voted for individuals B and individuals C. Katie Dennison is going to help me out tonight. She will actually be recording those, and then we will take it down to a second ballot for the folks who received at least 1 vote out of that first ballot. That second ballot will then be presented to all of you, and we'll run that same process, but this time you will get 1 vote, not 2 votes. When we have the 1 votes from each of you, we will then read it into the record. Katie will put it into the sheet, and then at that point, we will put the remaining candidates on a PowerPoint slide. This will begin your nomination process. So at that point, you should have a smaller slate of candidates, and you'll begin your nomination process. To nominate, you'll be able to have a first and a second. If somebody doesn't receive a first and a second, they are not officially nominated. Once we have all of the nominations in place, I will then be asking each of you to, on a roll call, okay, Commissioner A, who do you vote for? And you can vote for anybody who's nominated. When we get to 6, then we're at a point where you would actually have someone selected, and they would be the commissioner who is sworn in on the 15th. If you do not reach 6 votes on that first round, there is a point where at that point you would need to decide if you're going to do additional rounds or if you want to do a different process. Okay. President Forney has identified a few times for discussion within this process. So between ballot 1 and ballot 2, there would be an opportunity for discussion. We would follow regular meeting rules, which allows you to have a 3-minute for your first speaking opportunity and 1 minute for your second speaking opportunity. When you get to the nominations, the individual who is nominating the person can have up to 2 minutes to speak for that nominee. Once we have all the nominees, everybody had 2 minutes to speak to that nominee, just the nominator, not everybody, just the nominator. We then get to discussion before you would take the vote, and again, we would follow regular meeting rules where you can speak 3 minutes the first time and 1 minute the second time. Any questions? Okay, all of this material is,
Vice President Kruger?
oh,
Excuse me.
Betty?
Vice President Benny?
Yeah. I do.
Well, that was a slide.
Thank you, President Forney. I have one clarifying question, and it is the balloting. So the names will be read into the record, but which is absolutely appropriate that that's public. But will the vote take place on a piece of paper or something? Very good. Thank you.
yep. I will be passing out, President Forney, Commissioners, I'll be passing out ballots in just a moment.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Not seeing any other questions? We will proceed. Drum roll.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you are done, put your light on and I'll come retrieve it.
How do I turn my light on? Oh, there.
All right, commissioners, here is the result of the first ballot. I'll be reading them in the same order I took the roll call. So Commissioner Thompson has 1 vote for Holton Dimick and 1 vote for McKinsey. Commissioner Schaefer has 1 vote for McKelvey and 1 vote for Rucker. Commissioner Olson has 1 vote for Carlson, and I should know how to say this name, and 1 vote for Sisako? Siasoko, thank you, Whit. Commissioner Musich has 1 vote for Carlson and 1 vote for McKelvey. Commissioner Menz has 1 vote for Kenneth Jones. 2 Joneses on the ballot, 1 vote for Kenneth Jones. And 1 vote for Siasoko. My apology. Commissioner Elper has 1 vote for Hayadin.
Haji Aiden.
Haji Aiden. And 1 vote for Sukasium. Is that right? Is that? Thank you. Abene has 1 vote for Holton Dimick and 1 vote for McKelvey. And Forney has 1 vote for Rucker and 1 vote for Turner. It'll take us a moment here. Katie is going to go prepare your second ballot. Is there any discussion that you want after that first ballot?
I'm just going to make the comment that I'm so grateful for the huge interest in all of you wanting to serve. I think I mentioned to a lot of you that you brought me to tears, actually good tears, in reading your applications. It's just such a reaffirmation for me to know how important our parks are and how many people out there want to serve like we do. So thank you all. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Menz.
I did also want to say, I don't know if we do want to have a discussion in between these votes. It seems hard to change your mind in between without a discussion. But I did just want to reach out to the people who are out there. I mean, that room, and I know that you all feel the same way, that energy was unbelievable. Like, this city is so amazing in what our citizens are committed to doing, and I don't think it should go unsaid. So whatever happens in this process, like President Forney said, we just appreciate all of you and the citizens who have shown up to watch this process and make sure that it's done in as fair a way as possible. We have done the best that we can to work forward to that, but you know, we're human. We make mistakes, and there's difficulty in doing this. But I think that the process that it's going through right now is solid, and I'm confident and proud of us for going through that process. Thank you, board, and thank you, citizens.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, President Forney. Since we're all sitting here in such intense quiet right now, I just thought I would add as well how very grateful I am. But like President Forney said, I'm deeply humbled by all of you. And I said to as many people as I can, I have zero clue how this process is going to go. It feels very, very stressful sitting up here. But just genuinely how humbled I am to think that this incredible body of people want to be up here with us, and the prolific work that you all have already given to our community. I just, since we were quiet anyway, I just really wanted to take a moment to say how much I appreciate each and every one of you that I got to talk with or that wrote to me, and I'm sorry I didn't get to talk with everybody, but I just am very grateful for you, and thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you, President Forney.
I feel like we should be doing some exercises or something like that, you know? Anybody got a basketball, you know? Ping pong? Ah, pickleball.
That was a good time to talk about our next pickleball.
How many pickleball courts do we have today?
Pickleball specific. I believe we have 11 specifically that are open to play. There's an additional 2 at Loring that are in the works. I should have had you call me first. I apologize. And then there are 4 more coming next spring.
Woohoo!
For all the pickleball players in the audience.
Commissioner Benz, you have more?
But we're not going to have a pickleball tournament to decide, right?
Nope. Are you suggesting
I want the record to show that I did. Just say that we should just have a pickleball
I mean,
tournament.
the music is pretty good.
Say, could I
Please.
chime in here?
Entertain us,
You know, I
everybody.
did a quick count, and we're actually down to, did I count right, at 10?
I will trust you.
Just to say that we had, envisioned this process, that we would be down to 8, or down to 16, excuse me, which would kind of necessitate going back and doing another round of voting. But I just bring that up because I would, in this very secret process, I don't know who's going for who, and I would hate to see some great candidate eliminated. So just to say that we're already close to 10, just putting it out there for the idea of changing our process to allow, just a thought while we're sitting here, to allow all 10 to advance to nomination, to not eliminate anybody at this point. Did I count right? I'm going to count again.
Madam President, can I just make a comment?
Yes.
I'm not sure I
Councilor.
understood you, Commissioner Albert. I mean, this is not a secret process. You marked your ballots, you signed your ballots, and your vote was tallied publicly.
No, I mean, who's going, I don't know what Commissioner Schaefer is thinking for round 2 right now.
Okay, well, you had round one, so
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe she doesn't know what she's thinking for round two either. But I want to emphasize, just for the public,
Oh, yeah, no, not
that
secret,
this is
not
a
secret.
completely
Yes.
transparent. The
Yes,
commissioners have signed
apologize.
their ballots, their
Yes.
votes have been announced publicly, and that's the way it
Yes,
should be.
apologies. No, I
Oh,
mean,
that's all right.
I can't read Commissioner Schaefer's mind right now. Right?
No, I don't think
No. So I think we've got, what I'm trying to say is I think we have a fine slate of candidates before us that I would hate to see one of them not be considered because I don't know who Commissioner Schaefer's going to choose in round two, and maybe we end up choosing the same one, and I think belatedly, oh, shoot, I wish I'd chosen a different person so, we could have a discussion. That's all.
Commissioner Mans?
Thank you, President Forney. I think Commissioner Alper is trying to say that maybe we just skip the next round and move these candidates forward for nomination, and then any one of us could nominate any one of those 10 candidates, because the thinking was we'd probably be around 8 after 2 rounds. So I would support something like that, but it would take suspending the rules and going forward.
I guess my feeling is to move forward with the process the way we have. We have staff actually making ballots. By the way, I want you to know we decided not to use Dominion balloting. Anyway, unless somebody else wants to counter that. Yes, Vice President Abene.
Yes, thank you, President Forney. Yeah, I would agree. I think that sticking with the process that was developed, because I think, we may be in a position where we're moving past these, what's documented for a process, and we're riffing a little bit more, so.
Yes. No problem. Stick with the status quo.
I have to say, the silence, though, is deafening. So in case you guys are interested in coming back on Wednesday is a really, really big night for us. That is when we set the budget in committee, and it's one of the biggest tasks that we as commissioners weigh in on. And I'm pretty excited about our budget. So, yeah. Yes, Commissioner Schaefer.
I'll just throw in some thoughts here since we're waiting. I want to just really quote one of the applicants. I don't believe any of us voted for him, but I was reminded of a line as I heard some of you talking. His name was Charles Casserly. He said, it just really struck me when I was reading it. He said, being a park commissioner is a serious position, almost a sacred trust. And that really resonated with me when I read all of your applications. Because when I saw that last question about how you've engaged in the parks, some of you are working for the park board, some of you have grown up in the parks your whole life, some of you played sports in the park your whole life, some of you have volunteered. The list was amazing, right? And I really think that all of us really are feeling the weight of this decision around that it is a sacred trust. And I just want to thank all of you that have participated, that you're reminding us of that. So I just thought I would bring that out. And the other thing that I did is take notes on all of the ideas and the challenges that the 55 applicants brought forward, and took my own kind of tally marks, just to compare to what happened and what I heard 2 years ago through the campaign process. Some of them were similar, some of them were different, but I'm going to really hang on to that list as a commissioner and use that as a benchmark for myself in thinking about our budget process and thinking about some of the things that good ideas that were brought forward. And so I'm excited to actually really move some of those ideas and talk more about some of the ideas that came forward in the applications.
I feel like I also should acknowledge that we have a former commissioner joining us here tonight, former Commissioner Meyer. If you want any ideas of what to do and what not to do, Chris, I'm sure, would be very happy to help you. He's moved on, though, to the state, and we thank you for your service there. Nobody has any good jokes?
I
So
will say,
Council-
I was told by my son he won't sit next to me in movies anymore because I laugh too loud. So I hope people like President Forney, when she makes her joke, everybody can appreciate that, because I hear it and then I laugh real loud and I appreciate it. But it doesn't get me very far with my child, so he's embarrassed apparently. So I just thought I'd throw that out there because we have time. He's 15. It's like it is.
So we have a historian in the group, our Council Rice, and if he would be so kind as to share, when was the last time that we needed to do this, and how did that process go?
Thank you, President. The last time the board had to fill a vacancy was 2003. Commissioner Solomon died in office, and the board followed a process. I believe Mr. Goodrich helped. There was it was March 5th, 2003. There were a number of applicants. There was a winnowing process, and there were multiple votes, and the board came to a consensus after several motions to get to 6. 20 years and more.
Aha. Drum roll again.
Well, we appreciated what Commissioner Shaker said about the public trust. That's absolutely true. And your responsibility for maintaining public property is very important. So I appreciate that compliment that you gave pertaining to your responsibility.
Respectfully, our secretary has returned with our ballots, so why don't we move forward?
President Forney, I'll be handing out ballot number 2, and there are 10 individuals left on this ballot.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioners, there are 2 ballots where I cannot recognize the signature, so I'm going to come through and see who they belong to.
I'm going to guess too.
Teachers.
Oh, that's me.
Oh, and that's me.
Yeah, you want me to write my name on it? It's no coincidence that we sit by each other.
Yeah, we both have terrible handwriting. No, yours is good, mine is always good. She said that she was going to go back to you for you to sign things. Signs the order. Yeah, and I feel like I'm signing something all the time.
Okay. I will again read these in reverse order by commissioner and hopefully do a little better with name pronunciations this time. Commissioner Thompson, Holton Dimick, Commissioner Schaefer, Rucker, Commissioner Olson, Carlson, Commissioner Musich, Carlson, Commissioner Menz, Siasoko, Commissioner Elper, Sukasam, better, Commissioner or Vice President Abeni, Holton Dimick, and President Forney Rucker. Okay, commissioners, I'm going to go ahead and put these names up on the PowerPoint so that then you can begin the nomination process.
Okay, so it is now open for nominations. Those of you who would like to nominate the remaining individuals that Secretary Ringel just read off, we are now open for that.
President Forney, excuse me, can you give me 1 minute to get these up so that I can then get back and keep track of the nominations?
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
All right. Oh. I can't believe I called you crude. It's just a habit.
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Secretary Ringel, for all these details and everything. Council Rice did indicate that at some point, if we could read into the record what the tally of each candidate, I guess that's the best way to say it, would be appreciated, but we don't need to do it at this point in time. So there were lights, and now there's none. Okay. Commissioner Thompson?
Now's the time for nominating, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, President Forney. I would just like to note that I am very proud of my colleagues, that 4 of the 5 people, and Mr. Siasoko is an amazing guy, 4 of the 5 people on this list live on the north side. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you guys. I would like to nominate Ms. Martha Holton Dimmick for our consideration.
Second?
Okay, having that motion. Any discussion you would like to, or anything you'd like to save? Why don't we wait till all the
Sure,
nominations?
yeah,
are in?
absolutely, thank you.
Sorry about that, okay. Commissioner Alper?
Yes, I would like to nominate Vicky Sukasum.
Second.
Okay, noted that we have 2 nominees. Any others? Commissioner Schaefer?
I would like to nominate Charles Rucker.
Second? Commissioner Mintz?
I'd like to nominate Whit Siasoko.
Second.
Commissioner Alper? Oh, okay. Oh, Commissioner Olson, I'm sorry.
And I would like to nominate Gunnar Carlson.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have, if I'm correct, we have 4, if we have 5 that have been nominated, all 5, correct?
No. I do not believe there's a, President Forney, I do not believe there's a second for Charles Rucker.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Oh, apology.
Okay, so why don't we begin the process of 3 minutes for each person, if they would like to speak to the nominations. Oh, yes, sorry, Secretary Ringel.
President Forney, did you want each of the nominators to be able to give a 2-minute speech on their
Yes,
nomination?
that's what I meant to say.
Okay.
So, sorry. Yes, if anybody want to speak to their nomination. Commissioner Olson.
Sure, I'll get us started. Yeah, so this was a very interesting process. And, going through the applications and having conversations, I was just really struck by Mr. Carlson. I'll put it like, so I have spent most of my career working in politics, volunteering for folks in races across the state, local, national, you name it. I've met so many different people who have been involved in public life. And, doing communications at the Capitol, I see a lot of folks come through. And you can almost immediately tell when someone gets it and they're going to be good. You can tell when someone is going to be able to dig into the details, represent their community honestly, be able to have disagreements with someone and then the next day work with them, be able to put ego aside and be compatible and work for the community. And I see that in Gunnar. I see that in Gunnar Carlson through and through. And one thing that I was going for with trying to find a consensus candidate with us was, we have been able to work very well together. And I was really looking for someone that I thought could get along and work with every single one of us up here. And I see that in Mr. Carlson through and through. If you got a chance to talk with him, you're lucky. If you didn't, you're a bit unlucky. But I hope, I hope he's able to join us up here and you're able to work with him because really, I think he's someone special.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure I'm going to get everybody right. Okay, Commissioner Alper.
Yes, thank you. I want to speak on behalf of nominee Vicky Sukasum. If you had a chance to speak to her tonight, I think you would see that she's calm, she's composed. She would be a great team player and in addition to our board. I think somebody who would be thoughtful, who would work well with others, and I think that's something that I value so much about working with all of you, and I think that aspect of it is very important. You'll also note that she's knowledgeable. Her background at the Minneapolis Parks Foundation makes her aware, she's not coming in with no background in this. She's worked in our parks. She's worked on the issues that we see on the ground, meeting after meeting, and she'll be able to hit the ground running. I also want to note that she's worked in policy. That is what we do. We through our board, and I think she's going to come in with a very strong understanding of good governance and what it means to be a park board commissioner. And I think that's really important. Another piece I just want to highlight from her application is she talks about park equity, that achieving park equity is not a destination, it is a journey, and when there is awareness, commitment, and sustained action, we can all work toward this common goal together. I think she lives in North Minneapolis. She's experienced our parks in many different ways, and I think would be a great addition to this board. I hope you'll support her.
Thank you. Commissioner Mans?
Thank you, President Forney. Yes, I'd like to speak to the nomination of Whit Siasoko. And I appreciate the highlighting of the fact that Whit is not a Northsider. He lives in Northeast, but has worked tirelessly with Northside communities around juxtaposition arts. He's worked in the skate park industry for years. There's just so many opportunities where Whit engages young people in a way that is authentic through art and other means. But the reason I nominated him for park commissioner is because Mr. Sissoko has educated me on much of the planning and much of the CIP process that we have in our park system. He has worked extensively with our planning department and at times not agreed. And there's been differences, but there's always been productivity. And there's always a level of how do we ask the right questions. And I know that for me, I think we need someone up here who is going to ask challenging questions, but also be willing to get things done in our community. Whit is a friend. Whit is someone who we did this together. He helped me with my campaign because he knew the park system and he understood and he wanted to serve this body and the citizens. His partner is a teacher at North High School. That there is no love lost between Northeast and North Minneapolis, and I've made no secret that our communities are strongly linked. And I think that although Whit and I will never claim to be Northsiders, that his nomination is a representation of advocacy for our Northside partners, and also to make sure that we are asking the right questions up here. Thank you. I hope you consider him.
Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you again, President Forney. There's no doubt that all 5 of these people are incredible people. 3 of them I've had the privilege to know before this process. But I'm speaking toward Martha Holton Dimmick. There's no one with a more prolific resume than Martha. I think of the challenges of the North Side in particular, and in regard to our young people, and that's something that she and I have always connected on, is just how to help young people in a very specific situation work to find connectivity. And I know that there's a lot of people, myself being one, who have passion toward discovering how to solve those things, but very few people on our list already have experience in solving those kind of things that we have of connecting young people with opportunities and that we have in the parks, and that is a challenge that remains on the north side, and it's something that I know as the Board of Commissioners and as an agency at this moment, an organization, are very passionate about. I don't doubt that, all 5 on this list have passion for that, but there's a difference between passion. I mean, I will admit I have passion, and I don't always necessarily know how to accomplish that. I feel like someone like Martha has experience in accomplishing the very things that we try to talk about when it comes to recreation and kids on the north side. And then beyond that, I find on a personal level, she's a deeply genuine, caring individual. So despite her, incredible resume, there's just like the human element and the humility. So that's my pitch for Martha, for sure.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes, I am nominating Charles Rucker primarily because he was a strong candidate 2 years ago. He was an at-large candidate. He put in the time and had a strong showing. So I want to respect the work that others have put in prior to this time. That's one of my reasons. The other thing is, as I read his application, Charles stands for service. 25 years volunteer coaching, 23 years members in the Minneapolis Fire Department. This job is about serving the community. And I think Charles would step up and just continue to live his life in what I read on paper. And I would also say that he will bring a voice to the community, from the community, for our board, and bring insight that I know I couldn't bring. And so growing up in the park system, that's something I didn't do. I really think there's a lot of practical experience that Mr. Rucker brings to this nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. Having heard all nominations, I believe that the secretary will now call on each person as we vote. Is that correct?
President Forney, I think at this point you were going to make available an opportunity for discussion.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember if that was in our next ballot or which. Okay, thank you. All right. So any discussion from people, please? Vice President Abene.
Thank you, President Forney. This is I haven't spoken really yet, and it is really kind of a remarkable process. And thank you all for doing it. Really some great applications and all of that. Also want to acknowledge Mary McKelvey. I don't think she's here right now. I think she had another appointment, but she actually was an at-large candidate last time and came very close. And she got a lot of votes tonight. But I think that I know I'm one of the people here that feels pretty strongly about representation on this board. And not only that, incredibly high quality candidates, and we have many to choose from here. So I appreciate that. But I'm here to say I'm very interested in supporting Martha Holton Dimick. I think there's passion. I think that every person on this list has passion, for sure, and service. There's track records of service on many of these people. But we also need, this is a board that's in flight. We're 2 years in. I think somebody that knows how to work at a political level to really achieve some outcomes that are entrenched and that we are working on, but I think that we can work on a little bit more effectively and faster. And I think Martha's the person that would know how to navigate that and begin that work right away. So there are just many more things I can say, but I have I think it's, for me, a clear choice. So I'd like my fellow commissioners to give that to some consideration. Thank you.
Any other comments? Any other comments? Okay, I will jump in. Yes, I'm very proud to support Charles Rucker on the campaign trail a couple years ago. I did work with Charles, got to know him pretty well, and his passion for our park system is extraordinary, as Commissioner Schaefer says. He is indeed a team player. When you're a firefighter, you got to do it. And He's a grandfather. I understand that he celebrated one of his grandchild's third birthday yesterday. He understands youth, and that is something that I think this board is very committed to, and I feel that we need that voice. Born and raised, my understanding is he actually shoveled Council Rice's mother's house, which was next door. Anyway, he's just a person who believes in service. He's also, as I indicated, a team player, and what I really appreciated is that as far as things that we have voted on in the past, they are in the past. That I think is very important for us to understand that we're about moving forward, and Charles is about that, and I would be honored to serve with him. So, any other comments from people? Any other comments? Any other comments? Not seeing any lights. Secretary, if you please take the roll.
Commissioners, when I call your name, please indicate which of the 5 nominees you would like to cast your vote for. Commissioner Thompson.
Martha Holton Dimick.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Charles Rucker?
Commissioner Olson.
Carlson.
Commissioner Musich.
Holton Dimick.
Commissioner Menz.
Sissoko.
Commissioner Elper.
Sukasam.
Vice President Abeni.
Martha Holton Dimick.
President Forney.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioners, at the end of your first ballot, nobody has reached the 6-vote threshold. Your totals at this point are 3 votes for Martha Holton Dimick, 1 vote for Vicky Sukasum. Sukasam, thank you. 2 votes for Charles Rucker, 1 vote for Sissoko, and 1 vote for Gunnar Carlson. At this point, the resolution you passed on November 1st indicated that you could do additional ballots if needed, but you could also discuss at this point how you wanted to proceed.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, President Forney. Perhaps one of my colleagues can remind me. I believe last week plus ago, when we were discussing how to proceed, we had made mention of a vote threshold, and then no longer, we didn't do that? Yeah, okay, I just wanted to, so we did not do that. So all 5 are still available. I just wanted to clarify. That's correct? Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Elper.
I'd like to suggest that we do it again and see if anybody changes their vote.
Commissioner Olson.
You know, I think I would just have to, give some thoughts on what's going into my decision-making. We had one commissioner kind of mention how one of the candidates, one of the applicants, had run previously, and that was kind of a benefit there. I kind of see as those past elections as the voters kind of decided, and then the folks in Minneapolis kind of decided, which way they wanted to go with a couple of candidates who ran here. And not to say that, this is very difficult because they're all very qualified and very, very, I think any of them would do well up here. But I think it's important for us to kind of move forward with someone who has not necessarily been defined politically across the city by various constituents. And so for me, as we kind of work and try to find a consensus of who we support, that's going to be a factor for me when we have to make the very tough decision of deciding between these amazing choices. So just wanted to give some of my thinking to some folks out there.
Commissioner Thompson?
Sorry, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
no, your light's
Yep.
not on.
Oh, it's not on?
That's okay.
I turned it
Sorry,
off.
that's okay.
Sorry. I do this with
Commissioner
my
Thompson.
microphone all the time. Thank you for your thoughts, Commissioner Olson. There's a part of me that agrees with that, and a part of me that disagrees. And for the record, only one person on this, of these 5, has run for our board before. We as a body, and I have spoken with many of you in the last 2 weeks, we know that someone jumping into this, it is like a jump into the deep water of Lake Superior or a hole in the ice. You're taking an ice bath, and it's not necessarily going to be easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. We all know each other. We're all midstream. I think, without question, all the 5 people are amazing people. I think that now the choice comes down to about policy, about our partner organizations. We all know that, we work with the city, we work with the schools, we work with the county. We have to integrate these kind of things. We have a lot of outside boards. When we were all starting fresh, we all had a learning curve together, and that's not the case right now, right? So I would actually advocate in a different type of logic, but the same vein, that kind of experience. I made a joke with someone, but it's kind of true. I actually made it twice today, so sorry, this is the 3rd time, here it comes. That if we took all of these wonderful candidates and then had the public trash on them, you could turn it into what it's like to campaign. Because all of your faults are magnified, and you have to go through this thing, and then as Commissioner Olson said, then your policy and your politics are vetted. But that's not really true, and that's not really fair. Someone who's been through that process and knows what it is to be in that spectrum, even if as Teddy Roosevelt said, to be in the arena and to try it and failed. I do stand with that idea, like what that is in the arena, and it's a lot easier to take the slings and arrows of being here when you already know those. So that's my advocacy toward people who have already been out in the process. Per how we're going to pick somebody else, I would say, we don't have to do it now, but I do think at some point we need to talk about vote thresholds so that we can move forward and get down to maybe 2 or 3 candidates. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
Not seeing any other lights, other than our secretary. Okay.
So I heard an interest in doing a second vote. Are you wanting to renominate or work off of the existing nominations?
Existing.
I'm hearing existing, kind of muffled, but existing. Secretary, if you want to call. Yep.
Thank you. I just had to get my voting sheet ready. Commissioner Thompson.
Martha Holton Dimick.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Olson.
Vicky Sukusum.
Commissioner Musich.
Martha Holton Dimick.
Commissioner Menz.
Vicky Sukusum.
Commissioner Elper.
Vicky Sukusum.
Vice President Abeni.
Martha Holton Dimick.
President Forney.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioners, we still do not have anybody at the 6-vote threshold. However, we have had some movement. 3 votes go to Holton Dimick, 3 votes go to Sukasum, and 2 votes go to Rucker.
Any discussion people would like to have on process going forward? We have not crafted a definitive path forward. Another round or process of elimination from the,
I would move the idea that we now only nominate or discuss the 3 who achieved votes this last time.
Second.
Commissioner Alper?
Can you make that motion? I guess I was,
It was moved and seconded.
yeah, but we didn't suspend the rules.
Oh, did we?
We don't have any rules.
We don't have any rules.
We don't have any
We don't have any
more.
rules. Okay, well then I would just like to say, I would like to do one more round before we eliminate anybody. That would be my hope.
It's already been moved and seconded?
Well, that was my discussion on it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion of,
Got another light.
excuse me?
You have another light?
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Mintz.
Yes, Commissioner Alper brings up a good point. So I guess, so what is the process here? I know that we're trying to whittle down to 3, 2, 1. So I guess I'd like to hear Commissioner Alper's reasoning around why we would keep all of the nominees on the table at this point.
Yes, I can speak to that. My reasoning is that, I think we're trying to coalesce around a viable candidate with a path to victory. And right now, I didn't know what certain people were going to say, so I went with one candidate, and I'm sort of thinking on round 3 of this of nomination process, maybe I'll move to a different one. So I would like, before we eliminate somebody, because I think the other candidates that we have here are, might be more of a middle ground. So I just like, I would like to not eliminate Gunnar Carlson. I'll just say it flat out. So, thanks.
Okay, so I believe that we have a motion on the floor to pick the 3 candidates that have received the votes in this last round. Am I correct on that
was the motion.
interpretation?
That's the motion.
Okay. All right, so all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay.
Okay, I'm hearing 3, I believe.
President Forney, would you mind doing a roll call?
No, please do.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Aye.
Commissioner Olson,
Nay.
Commissioner Musich,
No.
Commissioner Menz,
Aye.
Commissioner Alper,
No.
Vice President Abeni,
Aye.
President Forney.
Aye.
You have 5 ayes, 3 nays.
Okay, so we have limited then the pool to the 3 candidates, and I believe we should do another round then of voting. Once the secretary has her ballots all lined up.
Thank you, President Forney. Commissioner Thompson,
Martha Holton Dimick.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Olson,
Vicky Sukasum.
Commissioner Musich,
Martha Holton Dimick.
Commissioner Menz,
Vicky Sukasum.
Commissioner Alper,
Vicky Sukasum.
Vice President Abeni,
Martha Holton Dimick.
President Forney.
Charles Rucker. Okay, all sorts of lights flashing.
Yeah, President Forney, the votes for vote 3 are the same as vote 2.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I didn't see lights going flashing on, but I'll go with Commissioner Olson first.
Couple things. One, I would like to know, because we don't have rules, if for some reason the 3 we are on now, I believe we could bring folks that we eliminated back if for some reason we enter a deadlock. So I just want to, if that happens. I guess I'd like to explain why I changed my vote. And it may sound, ultimately what it came down to was age and generational representation. What I'm seeing with the remaining folks on here are folks that, at least at that demographic, are very well represented on this board. As the youngest commissioner on here, I can say it's kind of lonely, and I don't think we're completely reaching and representing that group of folks. Just look across the river, St. Paul. They just had some elections. Not a single candidate that was elected is over the age of 40, good or bad. But whatever that means, what that means is that it's a generation of folks who are going to have to live fully in the future that they create. And I think that's valuable, and I think that's important. And if we're talking about, representation, I think that's a place where we could improve. And so I think that's where, why I decided to move. And I hope it's why y'all can move as well. And I mean, this is beside the point that Vicky's incredibly impressive, like all the rest of them. And I know would be able to do this work very well.
Thompson and Alper no longer. Okay, so on to Commissioner Mins, huh?
Yes, thank you, President Forney. I also would like to speak to the candidates that remain. I mean, all 3 of them, 5 of them, I guess, if we're still in it. I did not know Vicky Sukusim until today, which is quite surprising to me. I'm trying to make this process as fair and as equitable as possible. And in my brief conversation with her once or twice today, I think that she brings to this board something that we might be missing, but also something that we already have, which is that collegiality. And I do really want us to make sure that we are able to move forward for the people of Minneapolis and for all the people of Minneapolis. I was convinced that Vicky can do that. Not that Whit or Martha or Gunnar or Charles cannot. Also, I'd also like to speak to Charles Rucker, who was a candidate that I worked closely with, who I considered endorsing, but decided to endorse Commissioner Crudup instead, and we worked together. And I think that although Commissioner Olson makes a valid point, I think that if Commissioner Crudup was not in the race, Charles Rucker would have been sitting on this board. So there is that to consider as well. I think this process is going to get a little sticky now, but I would hope that my fellow commissioners would consider Vicki and what she would bring to this board, and as close to what we are missing as possible. And I don't know if that achieves the goal, but I do know that both Charles and Vicki are people who have impressed me and I've talked with, and those are the 2 candidates that I can move forward.
Thank you. No other lights? No? Okay. Yes, Vice President Abene.
Thank you, President Forney. I'd like to comment that actually the average age of this board isn't really that old. The bulk of people here are in their 40s, and the 40s aren't that old. So I think that, doing that, often, Commissioner Olson, you often speak about age. And it's an interesting thing, also with age comes wisdom. If you are and not that young people can't be wise or smart or intelligent or wonderful. I have, young adult children. But there's a reason why, too, when there are apprenticeship programs and things, one of the things is just plain old time. Time in life, time in a job, time in a role. There's a reason. It's not skills, it's time. So, nothing against, anybody that's lower than the median age of this board, but I think that there's something to be said there. I would also say that, it's interesting to me, I think this board, I don't often speak about identity politics up here because I think that I don't want to be perceived as somebody that uses that, because I think it's too important. And I think representation is too important. And there's been other people up here that have kind of taken opportunities to espouse things around that. And, the commissioner that we don't have anymore is a black woman, and a black woman who was raised in North Minneapolis and then moved to South Minneapolis, but certainly knows the city. And I think that's really important representation in our city, I have to say, because that's a kind of a long-term population of people that have experienced particular underrepresentation. So to me, that's a very important factor here. That's it.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, President Forney. So of the 5 people originally, we whittled it down to the 3 that we're talking about now are the ones that I've all worked with. I mean, I've known and gotten to know through this process. Mr. Rucker, I met campaigning. Ms. Holton-Dimmick, I met in a similar capacity through different Northside connections. And Ms. Sukasem, I met through the Parks Foundation. And I think they're all lovely and wonderful people. I will say that part of my litmus in looking at a choice, I don't know if you grew up like I did going to church like 800 times a week, but there were kids that would wear bracelets that were WWJD, what would Jesus do, in youth group. And I kept thinking, what would Alicia do? Like, what would the thing that, what is the position, who is somebody, I'm not looking for a mimeograph, that's not what I'm saying. You cannot, as Commissioner Menn said, you cannot replace former Vice President Crudup. That's not what I'm trying to do. But in the looking at the perspective on parks, the perspective on kids, the perspective on recreation and those kind of agencies of the way she would advocate, there are 2 of the 3, and I will admit I don't know Vicky in this capacity as well, but there are 2 of the 3 who I know would advocate the way that Alicia did, former Vice President Crudup. And that's Martha and Charles. And I know that because I know them. And so I would also say that, as Linda Evans said when I was a child on the cover of People magazine, 40 isn't fatal, that there is something to be said. 40 is not that old. 40 is our median age on this board. I do think that there is a level of maturity that, again, I throw into, and I would attest, is necessary to come into this position. There's so much work to be done that we are already well versed in. So that's my advocacy of the general, and it's what I used as my litmus. But again, I do know all 3 of these people we're discussing personally, and they are all wonderful human beings. So that being said, but that was my litmus, and that's why I continue to push the people that I have. And again, I'm very grateful that they're all Northsiders. Thank you.
Oh, 3 minutes, exactly. Any other lights? Oh, yes, Commissioner Elper.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to bring Gunnar Carlson back into the slots that we're making available.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Yes?
I'm happy to speak to that. Yeah, I just, I think I spoke with Mr. Carlson today, had a great conversation earlier today, and then during our time at our meet and greet. And, I noticed that a couple others here put him forward earlier. So I think as we look for a consensus candidate, or a candidate that we can coalesce around, I fully recognize that Sukhasam may be my first choice, and Holton Dimick may be certain others' first choice, but I think coming together as a board that it's going to require compromise to get us through tonight, and let the record show it is not actually 8:17, but it sort of feels like it already. So that is why I would like to do that and try one more round and see if there's any movement there, and that's my pitch.
Any more discussion on that? All those, Commissioner Menz?
So we're just voting to see if we're going to have another round of voting, or just to bring Gunnar Carlson back to the fold?
My motion was to bring Gunnar Carlson back to the fold. We were down to 3. I'm saying let's increase it to 4 and see if there's any movement in our votes.
I'm sorry, I didn't feel like we left anybody off, did we? I don't think that was a motion before.
It got seconded.
Okay,
Seconded.
I just wanted to make sure. All right. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Nay.
No.
President Forney, would you mind doing a roll call vote?
Oh, I do not. Please, go for it.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Nay.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Musich.
Pass.
Commissioner Menz.
Pass.
Commissioner Elper.
Aye.
Vice President DeBenny.
No.
President Forney.
No.
Commissioner Musich.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Can I get what's the count right now? Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
We now have 5 ayes and 3 nays.
Okay. I think we're going to do another vote, but I think we've got,
Do you want to declare how the motion was decided? for the
oh, I
record?
apologize. Oh, I thought you did. Anyway, yes, that motion did carry, so we are considering Gunnar Carlson and Commissioner Thompson.
I would like to move to reconsider Mary McKelvey if we're adding people.
I got a couple too.
Could we please have another round of voting before we do that?
There's a motion on the
Oh.
floor.
There's not been,
Okay. Second, okay. Discussion on that. Commissioner Menz?
No, I was going to make a motion to add Witsi Asoko and Larry McKenzie back into the fold.
Well, we have motion on the floor. Okay, not seeing any other lights. Will the secretary please call a roll on adding Mary McKelvey to the ballot?
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Pardon me?
Aye, sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaefer.
Nay.
Commissioner Olson.
Nay.
Commissioner Musich.
no.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Elper.
Nay.
Vice President DeBenny.
Nay.
President Forney.
Nay.
You have 2 ayes, 5 nays.
That fails. So at this point in time, I hear that we have 4 candidates that are up for election again. So with that, if it's okay with everybody, we will do another roll, or another ballot, I guess is what we would say, to secretary, all individually.
Commissioner Thompson.
Martha Holton Dimick.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Olson.
I like Gunnar, Gunnar Carlson.
Commissioner Musich.
Carlson.
Commissioner Menz.
Vicky?
Commissioner Alper.
Carlson.
Vice President Abeni.
Martha Holton Dimick.
President Forney.
Charles Rucker. Oh, Commissioner Olson? Oh, no, I want to hear first.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, you have 2 for Holton Demick, 1 for Sukasum, 2 for Rucker, and 3 for Carlson.
Commissioner Olson?
Gosh, what a weird process.
Right.
I would really appreciate Commissioner Musich, if you could maybe speak on why you initially voted for Mr. Carlson. I think that would be appreciated. A lot of us have spoken, but I see you making marks over there. I'd like to know what you're thinking.
Oh, please go.
Thank you, President Forney, for allowing me to speak. So I'd really hoped my colleagues would have gotten us to a place where we saw some motion. And I'm one of the folks up here that has moved and done so to try to build us towards consensus. And that's something that both the people that I've supported through the nomination process, I believe are interested in doing, is seeing the city move towards places of consensus, finding ways to listen intensely to each other, and also be a pragmatist about what's possible and what's achievable and how we get there, and finding that path and charting it, and doing so with all of us. In talking with these candidates, they really made clear to me that they value what they see up here when they've watched our meetings, that they see that we all want to work together, they all want to listen together, and that we're all trying to move us forward. We all have different ideas about how to do that, and I think it would be helpful to have consensus builders on the board joining us. And so that's why I've supported the 2 candidates that I have this evening. And so I hope that my colleagues can find a way to join me in supporting one of the 2 of them on our next ballots. Thanks.
Commissioner Schaefer?
I have one idea. We all know that all of these candidates are good choices, and some of us think maybe some of them are better than others, maybe some of us think they're equal, etc. This is not a traditional idea, but I'm wondering if we put all 4 names in a hat and have Superintendent Bangora pull one out of them. I really,
I was like,
no.
20 hours.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Interesting. Vice President Abeni.
I just want to say that, I can kind of see what's happening up here. So some people are voting for the same person each time. I'm doing that. And so it looks like I'm stuck. But other people are doing that maybe with another candidate. But the other people, with the exception of Commissioner Musich, are moving around a little bit, but they're also stuck. about crossing to the candidate that maybe other people are stuck on. So I just want that to be very clear. So although some people look like they're moving around within a narrow range of people. But Commissioner Musich is not doing that, and so I appreciate that. But, I do feel like, I just feel like we'll do another round and see where we go, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. At this point in time, we still have 4 candidates? Is that correct? Okay, we have 4 candidates. All right, so if everybody is willing, we will have Secretary, if you want to call on the ballot of those 4 candidates.
Commissioner Thompson.
Pass.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Olson.
Gunnar Carlson.
Commissioner Musich.
Gunnar
Commissioner
Carlson,
Menz.
Sorry.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Alper.
Carlson.
Vice President Abeni.
Martha Holton Dimick.
President Forney.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Thompson.
Martha Holton Dimick.
All right, the vote is 2 for Holton Dimick, 0 for Sukasum, 3 for Rucker, 3 for Carlson.
Any suggestions going forward? Commissioner Menz?
I would like to acknowledge that the wide variety of candidates that we had, not only in diversity of thought, but also in diversity of what bodies we exist in and where we come from and what our cultural background is. I don't know, a little birdie told me that we may have never had an Asian descent park board member. I just thought that that should be acknowledged. And although we're trying to replace a commissioner of color who was amazingly supportive of many, many different communities, that I want us to really, think about how we consider these positions. And I do think we're getting closer to consensus. And maybe we just need to keep doing rounds.
I believe if I know who the candidates are, they are all still here, sitting in the room. I didn't know if maybe we wanted to give them each a moment to greet us. We all greeted them down below. Maybe not necessary, but I just thought I would throw that out. We appreciate you all still being here. Yes, Commissioner Musich.
I think we should take another round now that we're seeing people move.
What? Commissioner Thompson?
I would just move, you already did, President Forney, but the idea of allowing the people remaining to speak if they so chose.
Second.
On that, I believe that was a motion and yours was not, Commissioner Musich. Right, okay. All right, so any discussion on asking if the candidates would like to come forward? Yes, Commissioner Olper.
Yeah, I just worry that we didn't put that in our process, and that feels a little unfair at this time for them to, off the cuff do that. I mean, if we reach a point at which we're on round 20 and we haven't figured it out, I would like to, at that point, suggest that we, at a subsequent board meeting, to allow them to prepare their talking points, do that, but it feels unfair tonight. I mean, that's my point of view.
Commissioner Menz, I think you still wanted to say something?
Yep, although I agree with Commissioner Alper, it does seem a little unfair, and I don't think it's necessarily unwarranted. We have to speak up here, we have to come up with things that we're going to say about issues that are very challenging, and it does not always get written down or spread out. So I think that if the candidates are willing, they're going to have to go through this process consistently. And I'm not asking for more than a minute. I don't think Commissioner Thompson, it's just, there's a certain aspect of communication that comes when you're in front of a microphone, and it's hard, and nobody's going to judge necessarily, but it is important to figure out how that, it's a little test. We are trying to do something that is very challenging, and we're down to 3 or 4 candidates. I would leave it up to them, but I would support this moving forward.
Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you. I would just agree with Commissioner Menz, which is why I moved it. Part of our job is to be comfortable just like saying things because we need to. We were elected to advocate for a situation, right? I'm not requiring any, the motion wasn't to require people to speak, is to offer space for them to be able to do exactly that for however long President Forney decides, a minute, 2 minutes, but just something, maybe they can help move the needle. Thank you.
Okay, not seeing any other lights. All those in favor of having the candidates, if they wish to come up to speak, please signify by saying aye, or excuse me, roll call.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Nay.
Commissioner Musich.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Alper.
Nay.
Vice President Abeni.
Aye.
President Forney.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes, 6 ayes, 2 nays.
Thank you.
President Forney.
Yes.
Can I move that we add the 2 candidates who are originally on this last 5 ballot to give their words as well, because it could have changed us?
Second.
Any discussion on that? And that would be adding, I can't remember who we're adding.
Carlson and Sousa.
No, Siasoko and Sukusum.
Yes, yes, go.
Okay. All right. Oh, excuse me, Vice President Abeni.
Yes, thank you. Nothing at all against those two individuals, and I enjoyed speaking with you downstairs, but I think we shouldn't be making the list bigger. I think we need to be making it smaller.
Okay, excuse me. Secretary, if you would call a roll on whether or not we're expanding the list or leaving it.
Commissioner Thompson.
Go ahead.
Point of order.
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Mantz.
Commissioner Benny makes a good point, but I do think that we're not expanding the list necessarily. We're giving equal opportunity to the 5 final nominated candidates. And I think that that doesn't mean that the votes are going to change. It's just the same opportunity that's been awarded to the other 3 candidates who have made it to this same round. This is the nomination round still. Should be afforded that opportunity to just speak to us for a minute or 2. My fellow commissioners will agree.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Nay.
Commissioner Olson.
Nay.
Commissioner Musich.
No.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Alper.
Aye.
Vice President Abeni.
No.
President Forney.
Nay.
You have 3 ayes, 5 nays.
Okay, so we are at then asking if the candidates would like to speak to us, and I'm going to say up to 2 minutes. We have Martha Holton Dimmick, we have Charles Rucker, we have Gunnar Carlson, and Vicki, I'm so sorry, Vicki, I'm not going to get your name right.
Those folks are not.
Okay, sorry, it was just then
Top 3.
Holton, Dimmick, and Rucker.
And Colonel Carlson.
And Carlson, thank you. All right, I'm sorry. I've got chicken scratching everywhere. Okay, so,
Point of procedure,
uh-huh.
or would it be appropriate to give the candidates a 5-minute prep time so I can go to the bathroom and?
I move for a 5-minute bathroom break.
Okay, we'll have a
Yeah.
5-minute
Yep.
bathroom break, and then we will start then alphabetically, okay? Gunner, Carlson, Martha Holton Gimmick, and then Charles Rucker will be able to speak for 2 minutes if you would wish to. I know it wasn't on the
Point of order,
Playing
are you
card.
recessing us for 5 minutes?
right, recessing for 5 minutes. It's now 7:36. Come back, please, everyone.
So how are you feeling, Meg? Interesting process, huh?
Very interesting, yeah. Please come back. Ow. Just crushed my hand. I'm sure he laughed out loud when I suggested.
Yep, maybe, I don't know, yeah. Well,
Okay, reconvening then our meeting here, and I will ask Martha Bolton-Dimick if you would like to come forward and speak.
You're doing them in alphabetical
I
order
did, I'm
initially.
sorry, no, I read the first name on the list here. Anyway, Gunnar, if you are here. Oh, there you are, see ya.
President Forney and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. First off, Commissioner Olson, thank you for the kind words in the nomination. It's somewhat surreal to be sitting in an audience and hear people deliberating over you, but thus is the case, and I know it's harder for you guys to have to do the deliberations, so thank you for that. For me, I was recommended to apply for this by a mutual acquaintance, a friend, from some work I do with the Minnesota Off-Road Cyclists. And my time leading that organization is coming to an end. And so looking for something else to do, and this came up. So this has been a heck of a whirlwind process in the last like 4 or 5 days. But I am someone who lived in the city. My mom did that thing where she moved out to the suburbs because that's what you're supposed to do, right? And then when it came time for me to buy a home and invest, I moved back into North Minneapolis and back into my community. And it means a lot to me to be there. Outdoor recreation is my passion and what I love. And I have spent years just working in that arena and doing research in that arena. And that is what leads me here and to want to do this. Professionally, I am a governance geek. I work with 7 cooperative boards for Riverton Community Housing. And so being in the weeds and doing this stuff, if any of you have seen me, I've been grinning ear to ear because I love this work. And I know it's strange, but the sausage making is fun to me. And because at the end of all this craziness, you hopefully come up with good policy that affects everyone's lives throughout the city and does good. And ultimately, that is why I'm here, and I would like to be able to do some good and join you. So thank you for your deliberations tonight, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Then I want to make sure I get it right. So now it is Martha Holton-Dimick. Martha, please join us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, President Forney and Commissioners, for allowing me to speak. I've observed quite a bit here today, and I must say that I'm watching nothing but a group of white people sitting on this board. I don't see any representation from North Minneapolis. I am from North Minneapolis. I'm from the inner city of Milwaukee. And what I hear now in my neighborhood is that you all are ignoring us, and you're not dealing with what you should be dealing with, and that is thinking outside of your little individual agenda boxes. That is so important. As a former judge and as a Hennepin County attorney and a 14-year nurse, I've dealt with a ton of people from all different backgrounds. And I am somewhat disappointed in this process, very disappointed. I appreciate all you do. I hope you all continue to do what you are doing, because I think what you're doing is great, but you gotta open up the representation. And you've got to represent the people of Minneapolis. And I don't see anybody on this board from North Minneapolis. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm very proud of the support I've gotten from Becca, from Stephanie, and from Miss Sabine. Thank you very much for promoting me. But I respectfully drop out, and I'm asking you to put your vote behind Charles Ruckers. I have known him for a long time. He lives not that far from me, and I think he's the one that should be sitting in that chair up there. Thank you.
Charles Rucker.
President Fortney, thanks for letting me speak, and all the commissioners. I just want to let you guys know I ran 2 years ago. Obviously, I didn't get on the board, but I put up a good campaign to be a part of this group because I want to be a part of Minneapolis that is moving forward. Some of the issues you guys already voted on, you got to keep moving forward. Being a boat, everybody has to be paddling the same way instead of being stagnant, and then the city's not getting anywhere. We're just arguing about things. I want to be a part of the process of getting Minneapolis the way it used to be. Equity across the whole city is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to represent, the kids that aren't being represented. I used to be a coach for 25 years. I had a program that was successful. I had kids to this day. Coach Rucker called me up. I'm still their mentor. I had kids that went to Division I colleges for free. That was our goal, is to help these kids get an education for free. Because where I'm coming from, the north side of Minneapolis, they don't have that type of money to pay for their kids to go to school. And I want to continue that if I become a commissioner, to keep these programs going. Politically, I go to, we call it for firefighters, we go to On the Hill every April. I'm politically connected nationally, state, and city. So I do have connections when it comes to political, so we can move things forward. If we need funding, I'm there as well. I know we have people that are able to do that we already have in place, but I'm willing to use my connections to bring in more funding for the city of Minneapolis Park. Thank you.
Thank you all for sharing your words. It means a lot to me, at least. So how we want to move forward, I believe, if I heard Martha, she's falling out of the race. So I believe that we are to 2 candidates. Oh, yes, Commissioner Schaefer.
I'd like to make a motion to take a vote, A or nay, for Charles Rucker as our next Park Board Commissioner.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Commissioner?
I'm not ready to do that. I think we should do another, I was prepared mentally to follow the nomination procedure that we set forward. I'd prefer that now that we've had a candidate drop out, that we follow that procedure that we were prepared for tonight, maybe on a subsequent round, then we consider that.
Any other discussion? No? Okay. Then all those in favor of the motion of voting on Charles Rucker, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Mantz.
I'm confused. Am I voting on Charles Rucker without voting on Gunnar Carlson?
Point of parliamentary inquiry. Can the motion maker please clarify what the motion is intended to do? And I believe it's, I'll let you do it.
I just made a motion that we would take a or nay vote to make Charles Rucker our next Park Board Commissioner for the next 2 years. And I had a second.
But
But
a nay vote does not eliminate him because we haven't gone through the process of the final round?
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes?
We voting on this are not voting on appointing this person. We're voting on whether or not to vote on appointing this person. Can someone clarify that that is what would be occurring right now?
Yes, we're voting to take a vote.
Commissioner Mantz? For a
I
second.
don't see this as any, it's usurping the process at the end. I think we should just let it play out because we're very close to getting to the end and I don't want to damage the process. So although I will vote nay on this motion, that does not mean that I am voting nay on Charles Rucker to sit in that seat. I just want that to be clear and make sure that I'm not voting for something that I am not intending to. I just want to keep the process the same at this point.
Okay.
Vice President Benny?
Yeah, I don't support this motion because we should just move to another round. It's a little confusing at this stage.
Commissioner Schaefer?
I will withdraw my motion.
Okay, so if I'm hearing correctly, what people would like to do is they'd like to do another round of voting. So if the secretary could please call the roll.
Commissioner Thompson,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Olson,
Gunnar Carlson.
Commissioner Musich,
Gunnar Carlson.
Commissioner Menz,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Alper,
Gunnar Carlson.
Vice President Abeni,
Charles Rucker.
Vice President Forney.
President Forney?
President Forney.
Charles Rucker, sorry.
Charles Rucker has 5 votes. Gunnar Carlson has 3.
Okay, Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, President Forney. I know we're getting close, and my concern from the moment I saw that former Vice President Crudup had resigned was getting locked into something 5-3. Let me just make a pitch procedurally for Mr. Rucker. I know, much like Larry McKenzie, who I also had initially voted for, he is well known and respected on the north side. He has a lot of agency already with different electeds within our city, should we need advocacy on another layer. I know that we have some spots sometimes that become difficult with the city, and I just know that Charles already has a lot of connections in his capacity, as he stated, and I would love to be able to help move the needle so that we can feel confident in our decision. Thank you.
Commissioner Menz.
I would also like to clarify a few things that maybe my fellow commissioners can see where I'm going with this. So when Charles Rucker ran an excellent campaign, he got a significant amount of votes from the citizens of Minneapolis in a very flawed at-large voting system. In that process, we communicated significantly, and I really wanted to support Charles, and ended up supporting Alicia and did not want to, it's a hard process to go through. And like I said before, I firmly believe that if Alicia was not running, then Mr. Rucker would have received the support of an unopposed candidate and probably would have received maybe a few more votes. And I think that we would already have Mr. Rucker in that seat. So although Commissioner Olson's, this is the most logical thing for me to do as someone who wants to represent the voters of Minneapolis in as solidly a way as I can, to support Mr. Rucker's candidacy, because he is an excellent candidate who represents a lot of the boxes that we want to check for someone to sit in that seat to replace Commissioner Crudup. Thanks. So I hope that one of my 3 colleagues will find the room in their heart to support Mr. Rucker.
Commissioner Olson.
You know, I see where that logic is going. I mean, I just want to say that having looked quite a bit at how those votes broke down and the data, it's really impossible to say. Alicia won on third choice votes. That's how she got into office. And trying to theorize how, I mean, just that's where most of her votes came from, factually. And trying to theorize how different folks would have gone in a different election. I mean, there were a lot of folks out there, and there were a couple applicants who also ran for at-large who received more votes, and so, you know, I don't know. I just don't think that should apply.
Commissioner Mans?
I do think, to respond to that, I do think that this is sort of an implication of the at-large election process, that we are voting for one candidate instead of three, and that is underrepresentation. And right now, we have an opportunity to possibly right that. That how do we know if there wasn't 3 first-place choice votes, that Mr. Rucker wouldn't be sitting there already too. So I think that this is an implication of that at-large system, and that maybe the Election Commission needs to kind of look at that to make sure that we are getting the candidates that are representative of the city. So, but I think that we have a chance here to correct that in some ways, and Mr. Rucker is an excellent candidate. So I just hope that we can get to that point.
Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you, President Forney. Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to point out that this body has 3 at-large candidates. And as stated by one of our at-large appointees, that our only commissioner of color got in on, to quote him, a lot of third-place votes. What does that say about our city? What does that say about how we struggle to get quality people to want to even bother? Knowing that that is what we do as a city. If we did not have an at-large position, would we have even had Vice President Crudup on this body? Yeah, you know what, Commissioner Olson, that's probably correct. We can look at the data, and we should be ashamed of that, and we have a chance to right that. Now, I could not agree more with Commissioner Menz. Mr. Rucker can know you were my first place vote.
Thank you. Commissioner Alper?
Yeah, I think at this time I'm going to make a motion to bring Vicki Sukasum back in, because I think we're looking for a candidate that we can all rally behind, and I firmly believe that if we give her the chance to speak, that you would see her as that candidate that we can come together and get 6 votes for. And I know that's what we're looking for this evening, so that is my motion.
Not hearing a second. I think that motion fails. So we are at a standstill, but I think what we need to do is to take another round of balloting, if everybody is ready. Secretary, if you want to read the roll, please.
Commissioner Thompson.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Olson.
Gunnar Carlson.
Commissioner Musich.
Gunnar Carlson.
Commissioner Menz.
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Alper.
Gunnar Carlson.
Vice President Abeni.
Charles Rucker.
President Forney.
Charles Rucker.
You have 5 for Charles Rucker and 3 for Gunnar Carlson.
It's Commissioner Alper?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and, again, make the motion, now that we've had that last vote, to bring back Vicki Sukasum to the floor, or to the pool of applicants. Again, I think she's that candidate that we can, 6 of us can rally behind, and I think if we were to, I know many of you know her personally. I think if you look at the work that she's done to date, the experience that she has in good governance, I all think those are things that we value as a board, and I think it's really important. I mean, we have to get to 6, and I think this is a viable pathway to 6.
Vice President Abeni. Oh, wait a second. Is that a motion?
Yes, that was a motion.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Not hearing a second, that fails. Vice President Benning.
I think we hear from the community about representation a lot, and I think that it really is important. So I'm hearing, and I'm thinking of all the things that I've heard for the nearly 2 years up here. And I think we have a chance to not only say we hear you, but also appoint a really good and strong candidate, because I voted for you too, Charles, as an at-large candidate. Please, I think let's listen to our community. This is a big deal, and it's not, this is about bringing somebody that has deep, deep roots in North Minneapolis, in our city, has been committed to public service his whole life, as Commissioner Schaefer pointed out, and is connected and well regarded in the city. And this is nothing against Mr. Carlson at all. He seems like a cool guy, actually. But let's really do this. And I know. I'm just going to say this. I know that maybe some of the commissioners are worried about other votes that this body has taken in the past. This body wants to move forward and not go back and look at things that we've already decided on and we're moving on and spending money on and making a difference on, in terms of not just our community amenities, the history of this community, but also the way we steward our natural resources and our natural areas. So I would just hope that we can find a way to do this, and I think it's what the citizens of Minneapolis on a larger scale would want. That's what I think.
Sorry, I got a little bit of out of order, but I believe it's Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes, I definitely appreciated Mr. Carlson's input as well. There was one pause during his speech that I would like to highlight to my colleagues, in that Mr. Carlson is involved in a lot of boards already, from what, if I didn't misunderstand him, correctly. And so two at the end of the year. This board takes a lot of time, and it's like I put in full-time hours for a part-time position, and I can at this stage of life, but it is a tremendous workload. And so that was my only pause, and I'm being just honest when you spoke, sir. So that was my one pause. And then the other thing is, I'm just going to speak plainly. I mean, Hiawatha was hard, has been hard for many boards, right? And we have moved forward, and we have made good decisions. But at the same time, we can't be afraid of the alternating positions. You know what I mean? And I think it could make us stronger as we move forward if we have people that have differing perspectives, even on decisions we've made in the past. So that's my only 2 cents on where some of the reticence might be coming from Mr. Rucker. But I am happy to support him, and just wanted to bring up those 2 items.
Commissioner Menz.
I don't know if I have any more time left. But I would also like to throw a lot of support behind Charles Rucker as well. And, to sort of, Commissioner Latricia Vitaw was a strong commissioner who would probably be up here if she ran again as an at-large candidate, and she is very supportive of Charles Rucker. And I think that relationship also helps move me, because she is someone who I have a lot of respect for, and I think has a lot of respect for this body. And I think that we need to listen to the constituents and what they are telling us. Some of us might not be getting the number 1 candidate, or number 2 or number 3. But I think in Charles, we're getting a candidate who has proven to want this position, who has educated himself on what this position entails, and who is ready to sit in that chair and lead. And I think that that's what I'm looking for, is someone who's committed to families, who's dedicated to youth, and who understands how to build relationships with us and the community.
No more comments? Okay. All right, should we go for another ballot? Okay, we're going for another ballot. It's
Commissioner
only 8:07.
Commissioner Thompson,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Olson,
Gunnar Carlson.
Commissioner Musich,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Menz,
Charles Rucker.
Commissioner Alper,
Gunnar Carlson.
Vice President Abeni,
Charles Rucker.
President Forney.
Charles Rucker. Congratulations. Okay, we have one final, so,
Secretary should read the results.
yes, please.
Ballot.
Yes, from a former, at the very, very beginning, we need to put that into the record. And then lastly, we need to do the resolution about our appointee. So first we'll have Secretary Ringles.
So I believe Council Rice was asking me to read the last vote. Charles Rucker received 6 votes and Gunnar Carlson received 2 votes.
Is that what you wanted? I thought you wanted something from the very beginning.
No, just that vote.
Oh, that was it, okay.
So just, well, let the secretary explain where we're at now then in terms
Well,
of the
now I'd like
process.
to make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-228. This is a resolution of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board to accept the resignation of Alicia D. Crudup and to appoint a new Park Board Commissioner to fill the at-large seat recently vacated.
Second.
Not seeing any lights? Oh, excuse me, Vice President Abeni.
Thank you. This is probably not in order. Stephanie Musich, you're a mensch. You're an awesome person. Thank you.
Commissioner Menz?
In this time when we're going to acknowledge Commissioner Crudup, even though her brief stay here, I hope that this body made her proud tonight, and I don't know if we did, but I hope we did, because I know that many of our intentions was to make this process as clear and concise as possible, and I'm proud of us, but I'm not sure. I hope Commissioner Crudup is proud of this process.
I'll just mention that we will be having a resolution on Wednesday. Anyway, yes, Secretary Ringel.
Madam President,
Oh, sorry.
understanding Commissioner Musich's motion, that was to add the name Charles Rucker to the document?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. I thought that was clear based on the
Okay.
previous
Does that need to
discussion.
be seconded?
I
It
think
has
we
been
did have a
seconded by
second.
Thompson.
Right. Okay, should we do a roll call on that, or?
We should do a
Okay,
roll call on
roll
this as
call on
well.
that.
Need 6 votes.
Is there discussion?
Oh, sure.
Just because after this we'll adjourn. Congratulations, Charles. Honestly, it was not, none of this was voting in opposition to you. I was just incredibly impressed by Gunnar. But I know we'll be able to work well together. So congratulations. That's all I had to say. Yeah. Nice.
Yes, Commissioner Alper.
Thank you. And I just would also like to say welcome to the board, and I look forward to getting to know you and serving with you.
Seeing no other lights on, will the secretary please call the roll?
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Aye.
Commissioner Olson,
Aye.
Commissioner Musich,
Aye.
Commissioner Menz,
Aye.
Commissioner Alper,
Aye.
Vice President Abeni,
Aye.
President Forney.
Aye, aye.
You have 8 ayes.
Congratulations on that. I will declare the meeting adjourned at 8:11, excuse me.
O'Brien?